Sean. Welcome back to the channel. If I cough, sniff, or sneeze, please forgive me. If you're chiming in and you're in the live stream right now, a lot of people complain that the live stream is too long. It is a longer format, and I apologize if I didn't get to the point, so to speak. And I'm trying better every time. When I have more time, I do the shorter format videos. I don't want to say I have a script, but I'm able to edit, and I'm able to edit a lot of the clutter, so to speak. Anyhow, I want to talk about some shooting incidents that's been happening at dispensaries, marijuana dispensaries. But before we dwell into that, I want to talk about CQB, CQC, close quarter combat, close quarter battle. This particular instruction is for those of you who want to be instructors in CQB. If you're in California, the appropriate class to take is going to be called active shooter instructor. It's active shooter instructor. This is your CQB class. In regards to California Post, the Peace Officer Standards of Training, there is only one class that has the title of CQB, and that is a live fire firearms course. It's only an 8-hour class. There is no CQB instructor, California Post CQB instructor class. They're all active shooter courses, active shooter instructor courses. So if you're like me and you're constantly looking for training out there, if you land on like a CQB instructor class, number one is most of my audience is private security. A lot of these CQB, nearly all of them, I think all of them that I know of, they're not going to let anybody in there that it's not law enforcement or current military. Now, there's some instructors or training organizations, the private ones, that are able to bend the rules a little bit. So if you're a veteran, military veteran, sometimes they'll let you in. Sometimes when you're retired law enforcement, they'll let you in. But if you don't have those experiences, there's a very minimal chance that they're going to let you in the classes. Now, you might be asking me why, and the answer is it's kind of plain and simple. In military, military and law enforcement, especially in the academies or in boot camp, you're going through basic level of instruction of firearms. You're going through weeks of live fire exercises, live fire demonstrations, and the cadre is able to correct any type of safety hazards, right? Safety hazards, they go over marksmanship and gun handling. Having that experience, it kind of guarantees that you've been through some sort of program, but we know that there are some substandard shooters when it comes to those who come from law enforcement or firearms circles, right? Even somebody that graduated from the police academy, I think that they should be allowed in these classes, depending if they could demonstrate proficiency, right? Especially the police academy, again, you go through a program of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of firearms training. Your gun safety is observed, your marksmanship is observed, and so is your gun handling is observed. Now, if you don't have those experiences and you're saying, hey, you're a good shooter, like I believe you, right? I believe you, but what formal document can we use in court later on? Like, let's just say this leads to some type of negligence. There was like an accidental shooting or something like that. As the owner of a training organization or an agency, what document do you have that I can show the plaintiff that you met some level of competency sometime in your career? How do I back up the prerequisite? And that's what I'm saying is, hey, you could have been like a self-taught shooter, but how am I going to back that up in court? And I'm a strict believer that many times a piece of paper is just that. It's just a piece of paper with no backing. But when you're sitting in the jury box, they want to see those types of documents. Okay. With regards to CQB, you have to get your firearms proficiency up to par. I just finished the 4-day CQB instructor class. I wasn't successful at it. I definitely need a lot of improvement. But what I will tell you is that 2.5 days of that training involved live fire. And believe it or not, I've never done a live fire shoot house. And talking to the rest of the class, there was only like one guy that went through a live fire shoot house, and you have guys that have been on a SWAT team before. Especially California, it's something kind of rare for even a SWAT operator to go through live fire shoot houses. The thing is, you need a 3-sided range, something that covers a range that you're able to shoot to the front, to the left, and to the right. If you don't have that, then you can't really have a safe CQB house. So if you want to be a CQB instructor, it's the active shooter instructor class is the one that you have to complete. And almost all of the active shooter instructor classes they don't let private security or private citizens in that. You normally have to be sworn or military. Okay. If you're disagreeing with me that a active shooter instructor class is not a CQB class, I'll offer this to you. In active shooter training, you go over deliberate techniques and you go over dynamic techniques. You go over threshold evaluations. You go through 2-man tactics, 3-man tactics, 4-man tactics. You cover breaching. You cover even a medical evacuation procedure as well. And all of those are covered in a CQB class. Even one of the active shooter instructor classes that I know of, they're less. It's like a less aggressive training entity. But by the way, they only accept law enforcement or military. They even have live fire. Okay, so again, this is just something to think about if you guys are interested in this type of training. If you're California and you really want to do it, you might have to travel to another state. Now, I know that there's a class called ALICE, ALICE. I say this, okay, if you have, and I think that's a 2-day class, if you have enough firearms courses, formal training behind you, and some CQB related classes, I think you could kind of push that class forward a little bit, and definitely advertise that you are an active shooter instructor. I think it's more viable. But us that are in the training circles, us that have received proper instruction in CQB tactics, we know that that's not really the class. But the students that you train, they probably think that that's the proper training for an instructor. And what I'm saying is, you're not tricking anybody. You're not trying to scam anybody. All I'm saying is that in those classes, those classes that you take in, like the live fire classes, some of the CQB classes, those classes, the learning objectives might be the same learning objectives in the active shooter instructor class. That's all what I got to say about that. When I see Alice, like somebody's an Alice instructor, it doesn't push the wheel forward. Just because I know what that entails. And, I talked to some guys, and basically you're doing Nerf. Like, you're shooting Nerf guns at each other. There is a CQB element, but it's very minor, but that's what you're doing is Nerf guns. And what kind of stress inoculation are you getting when somebody has a Nerf gun? And I know there's a little bit, it's super fun, but come on, guys. If you really have to. Now, those are you guys who are former military, maybe you had like some type of infantry or combat MOS, and you want to formalize your training, you probably had more CQB active shooter instruction in the military than any organization out here, especially California, has to offer. So in that circumstance, you have the background, you have the experience. You just need a formal document. Take the ALICE Act, the 2-day active shooter class. That's my recommendation to you guys. And unfortunately, or I guess fortunately maybe, I've seen Post actually accept that certificate as a valid active shooter instructor certificate. However, with the individual I know, he had more than 20 years ago SWAT level experience as a team leader. So again, that document was backed. All right, we're talking about dispensaries. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so I think it was last night in the Los Angeles area, there was a security guard that was involved in a shooting incident at a marijuana dispensary. I believe some masked man attempted to enter the dispensary in the middle of the night, and it ended with the security guard firing a shot. All that we know right now is the suspect was not. We don't know the suspect was injured. Police do not believe that there's any evidence that he was shot. The security guard that was involved, I believe, is doing okay. And if you're the security guard involved and you're watching this, we really, really pray that you're okay. Even if you missed, this is still a very traumatic incident, because now you're going to have to wonder what's going to happen with you, because technically it's a criminal case based on you firing. What happens is the charge is possibly negligent discharge of a firearm, right? That's the least amount of charges. The police department would generate a police report and maybe not recommend criminal charges, but forward it to the district attorney's office just for review, right? Or maybe internally send it to the LAP prosecution unit to see is there enough basis, right? Is there enough basis to charge this guard? If not, then we will not send it up. And guys, that's perfectly normal. That's perfectly normal. If you've ever been involved in any private security related shooting, there's going to be a criminal review. You could be 110% justified, but there's still going to be a criminal review, which is super stressful. So if you're the guard watching this, we pray for a healthy recovery, and we pray that you are in good hands. Having said that, if you're the guard involved, feel free to reach out. Again, I don't disclose your personal identifiers, but we can all learn from each other. Now, guys, in general, I'm disappointed at the hit ratio of private security officers. There should be very little reason on why you should miss. And I'm really concerned. It's like this is an ongoing thing in private security. Let's keep missing. Do you realize that every time you miss, that's a potential to hit an innocent bystander? And you are accountable for each round. Now, some of you are sitting here arguing about, hey, police, right? Sean, police miss all the time. Well, first off, this is not a video about police. This is a video about private security. This channel primarily focuses on private security, not law enforcement. I could spend a whole week on doing videos on police officers missing and creating liability. But the topic of today's video has nothing to do with police. It is strictly private security. Until we can acknowledge that, we can't move forward. So going back to this discussion, why are we missing? Do you guys get paid to miss? Now, the training in California is rather pretty laxed. To get a firearms permit, it's only 2 days of training. You basically do the 8-hour class, which is all classroom, and then on the second day, you're doing live fire operations for, I think it's, well, the remainder of the day. It's usually, I mean, it could be an 8-hour class, but it's, you know, it's day 2 live fire, right? All of the drills are done from a static line. That means the target doesn't move, and you don't move while you shoot. Okay. There is emergency slide lock reloading involved in the drills, but again, you're staying still, and the course is easy. I think as when you move up closer to the target near the 5-yard line, you don't get a generous amount of time, but all the way back at 15 yards, you do get a pretty generous amount of time. But yeah, going close up, there's not a lot of time involved. But does that prepare you for real life encounters? And I would say no, it really doesn't. So you guys are pressed to attend your own training in addition to what the state offers. I know the Florida, I think it's like a 32-hour class that you have to go through. Oregon, I saw their training, and I was talking to Damien not too long ago, and I think that they do fire from the 25-yard line, which is good. I mean, I think that's a good thing. How do you know you're doing an excellent job at marksmanship? How do you know? Well, you're getting your shots in at 25 yards. I think being able to hit something at 25 yards is definitely a measure of success. And when I say hit something, guys, I'm talking about a C-zone. Maybe like a USP SA target. That's pretty good at 25 yards with various time elements. And I seen some videos. Now, I want to reiterate here that firearms qualification is not the same as training. Just because you qualify 2 times a year or once a year, that doesn't mean that you're going to operate at optimal levels. All you're doing is qualifying on paper, right? You're going to have to do some training on your own. Companies don't train you enough. I've been in law enforcement for over 2 decades, and as far as I know, I don't know of a lot of law enforcement agencies that offer enough training. It's kind of like you go to the range, you qualify, and then that's it. You're gonna have to seek training on your own, guys. Now, if you're saying I have no money for training, I will help you. Okay, I'll help you. I'll help you manage your own bank account. Send me a copy. Send me email. Block out your account number and any identifying factors, and I'll go through each line item in your bank account, and I'll help you. Okay, I will help you save money, because you don't need a $5 or $7 Starbucks drink. You don't need all these snacks for duty. I can help save you money to the point where you're going to have enough money to spend on sufficient training, firearms training. I'll help you. Having said that, nobody has ever in the history of the channel reached out to me and said, "Hey, Sean, I like your help. I would like you to help me save money." Because nobody wants an outsider to interfere with their personal life. That's why, right? But there shouldn't be those complaints. And then, guys, you mean to tell me that you cannot dry fire 5 minutes? I'm just asking you guys 5 minutes of dry fire practice every single day for 5 days a week. Well, okay, you're really pressed with time. Give me 2 days a week. 5 minutes. You take out the magazine. First, you point the muzzle in a safe direction. Keep your finger off the trigger. Press the magazine release to take out the magazine. Lock to the slide of the rear. conduct the visual and physical inspection for any live cartridges, any cartridges in there, right? Go ahead and lock the slide or send the slide forward, and you can't begin yet. Your sources of ammunition need to be placed in another room. If you're living in an apartment or a house, grab any source of ammunition and stow it in another room. If you're on duty, you're working. If you're me, you would probably be doing dry fire at work, but don't do me, you'll get fired. But let's just say you have that opportunity, still stow it away somewhere else. There's actually a greater chance of you inserting a live round than somebody actually breaking into the compound and taking you at a gunpoint. I'm just saying, right? It's a rare circumstance. And then dry fire, guys. Choose a target, choose it wisely, put it on maybe like a brick wall or some area of your house, your apartment. That's, by the way, this has to be legal to do in your area. And then present your pistol and practice your dry fire techniques. Now, obviously, this is not proper instruction. What I mean by that is you can't depend on my instruction and go out there and start practicing. I'm saying, hey, get professional training on how to dry fire. I'm not saying other people's videos is a way to start, but it's one way, especially when you supplement that with live dry fire instruction. You mean to tell me you guys don't have enough time to do that? And what you're doing is you're feeling for that trigger control. You're feeling for that proper grip. And you're visually looking for that side picture. The side picture and side alignment. If you're running a red dot, all you're doing is verifying that the red dot is in the zone where you want to hit. You're overimposing that red dot or green dot in that area in which you are going to press pretty soon. You guys can do that. What happens in a real life situation is you get to panic mode, you lose grip of your pistol, and you're doing this, like, because you're in panic mode and you're not aligning your sights, you're not getting in on target. I think that's what's happening in these real life situations. But I give you guys some suggestions, right? Suggestions on how to save money. You don't need that $5 Starbucks. You don't need all the snacks. When you total all this junk food that you're getting and gourmet coffee, you're looking at maybe even a couple $100 a month, right? I think $500, maybe even $250 will get you in a good class. And if you're thinking about going somewhere, like training somewhere, let me know where you want to train at, and we can say yay or nay. Hey, this is a good training organization. If you don't want to take my word for it, ask other people around. And if I'd never heard of that training organization, I'll ask somebody else. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I know that there was a lot of comments, but as you guys can see, I'm driving. I can't go through them right now. But please post the information. If you got good information, and I'm sure that you guys do, post in the regular comments. All right, guys, I'm out. Take care.